The image of a man cursed to forever hold the earth on his shoulders is one that many of us may be familiar with, but how many of us actually know the story behind the man? The man this story centers around is in fact not a man at all, but rather a titan known as Atlas, and a common misconception is that it's the earth on his shoulders, but he was actually cursed by Zeus to hold Uranus, the personification of the sky and the heavens, and that is what he bears on his shoulders. He was part of what many considered to be the second generation of titans, being the son of the titan Iapetus and Clymene, one of the many daughters of Oceanus, making him the brother to Prometheus, Epimetheus and Meniotius. It was also believed that Atlas fathered many children, a large portion of them being regarded as nymphs, including the Hesperides, Calypso, and Maia, the mother of Hermes, which would make the messenger god one of Atlas's grandchildren. During the war between the Titans and the Olympians, Atlas and his brother Meniotius sided with the Titans, whereas Prometheus and Epimetheus sided with Zeus. But Atlas was believed to have been one of the main sources of rebellion against the Olympians, potentially even leading the Titans into battle, which is why when the war ended, Zeus made an example of Atlas. His brothers and sisters were banished to Tartarus, but Zeus condemned Atlas to stand on the western edge of the earth and hold the heavens on his shoulders, forever separating Uranus and Gaia. It's because of this that Atlas is often associated with endurance, even sometimes being called Enduring Atlas, a name that is thought to embody his daily struggle and eternal punishment. Atlas was regarded as the bearer of the heavens, and had a close link to astronomy. When sailors looked to the sky as a tool of navigation, it was their belief that they were being instructed by Atlas, and the same can be said for farmers when they attempted to measure the seasons. The roles of navigation and measuring the seasons were somewhat combined, as Atlas became the god responsible for turning the heavens on its axis, causing the stars to rotate and revolve. In Homer's Odyssey, Atlas is described as being responsible for holding the pillars that separated the heavens from the earth, but in Hesiod's Theogony, he's instead depicted as bearing the weight of the heavens on his shoulders. The Atlas Mountains, located in northwest Africa, in the regions of Morocco, Algeria and Tunisia, are often heavily associated with the Titan. It's believed that when the hero Perseus acquired the head of Medusa, he came across Atlas, and when the Titan glanced into the Gorgon's eyes, he was turned into an enormous mountain. This story begins when Gaia gave the goddess Hera a tree full of golden apples as a wedding gift. The tree was guarded by Atlas's daughters, the Hesperides, and was in a location known by very few. The Titan was told by an oracle that one day a son of Zeus would find the tree and attempt to steal the golden apples that his daughters guarded. In order to stop this from happening, he would let no one enter his land, and when Perseus came across Atlas, he denied him any form of hospitality, an action that Perseus of course did not take too kindly. He lifted Medusa's head above his shoulder, showing the Titan, and immediately turning Atlas into an enormous mountain range, a mountain range that we now refer to as the Atlas Mountains. Perhaps the most famous story featuring Atlas was the role he played in the 12 Labours of Heracles. The Greek hero was tasked by King Eurystheus to steal some of the golden apples from the gardens of Hesperides. The apples were guarded by the serpent-like dragon known as Ladon, a foe that Heracles was advised to avoid by Prometheus, who instead suggested that he ask the Titan Atlas for his assistance. In return for the Titan's help, Heracles would take the burden of the heavens from his shoulders. When the Titan eventually returned, he refused to resume his responsibility as the bearer of the heavens. He planned to leave Heracles with the weight of the heavens on his shoulders. By some form of trickery, Heracles convinced the Titan to swap places, under the illusion that he could ease the strain on Atlas's shoulders, but instead Heracles took the apples and left, just as Atlas planned to leave him. There are a few different variations of this story, relating back to the depictions of Homer's Odyssey. In another variation of the story, Heracles built enormous pillars capable of holding the heavens, freeing Atlas from his burden, and in return the Titan would acquire the golden apples for Heracles. Atlas is quite an interesting and symbolic figure in Greek mythology for numerous reasons. He symbolises the hardships that some of us have to endure on a daily basis, and his stoic and resilient approach show us that even the most impossible task of holding the entire weight of the heavens on one's shoulders can be possible. It's important not to forget that he also symbolises the wrath of Zeus. He was one of the main forces opposing the rule of Zeus, and as a result he was made an extreme example of, warning anyone who dared to oppose the rule of Zeus and his fellow Olympians that a similar fate awaits them. It's likely that the ancient Greeks looked at Atlas as an extremely useful god. He provided sailors with the means of navigation, and a way for farmers to distinguish between the seasons. If I had to hazard a guess, I'd believe that the ancient Greeks were quite grateful towards Atlas, as many of them could have believed that without the Titan, there'd be nothing to stop the heavens from crashing down upon them. Quite often the Titans are mentioned scarcely, and even less so after the war, but Atlas is one that we know quite a lot about compared to the rest, and it poses an interesting question. If the Titans would have won the war, would Atlas have assumed a role similar to that of Zeus, or would another Titan have challenged him? I look forward to hearing what you guys think in the comments below. As always, I've been your host, Mythology and Fiction Explained.